Oi, this is the Profanity Gnome, and I'm here to tell you that if you're under 13 years old, fuck off this video! Get the fuck off YouTube! Get your mama to get your dad's cock out of her ears and actually be a parent! This is for adults only! And for everybody else, enjoy the video. And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment below what you think, you fuck buckets! Today's the day! Today's the day we finally set forth on our ship of dreams! Meow. No, that's not the ship. Meow. Not that one either. Meow. No. Meow. I'll tell you which ship when it arrives. It says here that we're supposed to meet at dock 420. Oh, I'm already there. You got problems.
Just be glad he didn't say 69.
Hey guys, I think it's over here.
Ooh, you got us a luxury liner. Oh, this is going to be amazing.
Huh, I didn't think you'd split that kind of cash.
What? Oh no, this isn't the boat.
What?
It's behind that ship.
Rhino, a word? What the hell is that?
Sure, it's a little rough around the edges, but at least it floats. The dead ship. Well, at least the name reflects the paint.
Ahoy! I guess. Anyone there?
Who be calling?
It's Gent.
Who?
Gent, you know, cartoon gentleman.
Oh, right. I used your real name for this. Whoa, what? I'm sorry, did I confuse you somewhere in the story? Yeah, the fact that you just said that Gent isn't his real name. Oh, haven't you ever known that? I'm sorry, you just threw a whole lot of information to me all at once. What, do you think someone would be so weird as to name their child Gentleman? Like on the birth certificate? Well, if Gent isn't his real name, then what is it?
Quacko Warner. Aye, yes, come aboard, lads. Well, this one's going to be an interesting episode. This is Animaniacs 2020 episode 4. The episode begins with the Warners. The Warners are being, well, the Warners. When they're approached by this guy, who I'm just going to call Old Mick Strawman. He's the new neighbor, moved into the Warner lot. And he is a bun salesman. No, not those buns, you perverts. These buns. Why do you call them buns? Because he calls them buns. Just call them bunnies. Well, this bunny owner and salesman offers a few free bunnies to the Warners. Bad business practice, if you ask me. But the Warners accept the bunnies and begin playing with them because of how cute and innocent they look. Only Old Mick Strawman seems to have a darker motive to his plots of bunnies. So the next day, the Warners wake up to find that their entire house is filled to the brim with bunnies. Overflowing bunnies. Everywhere, just more and more bunnies. And they're sick of it, and they decide to get rid of them all. So they go back to Old Mick Strawman doing this, saying they want to give back all the bunnies. But then Old Mick Strawman starts preaching weird arguments. Like saying that it's okay to have as many buns as you want, and that your problem is you don't have enough buns. And even going as far as to say that people with lots of buns feel safer from other people with lots of buns? What? What the hell kind of arguments are these? I don't know. What the fuck is going on here? Any rate, well, the Warners aren't buying anything he has to sell, but he refuses to buy back the buns. So what do the Warners do? Talk to a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. Who does absolutely nothing, because apparently owning a bun is a constitutional right. What the hell are they smoking? They ain't smoking from my stash, I'll tell you what. Well, in short, strong, independent woman who don't need no man decides to not do anything, and just forces the Warners to solve the problem themselves. And shit goes up the creek when the Warner Tower explodes with all the bunnies, covering all of Warner's lot in a sea of bunnies. It's clear that old McStrawman has won, or so he thinks. The Warners have enough of his shit and decide to go full Animaniacs. And unfortunately for them, he too has an Animaniacs form. And then they proceed to get into a duel of epic and high animation proportions. And while the duel is enjoyable, it does not go into the Warners' favor, and they get their asses kicked by all the bunnies. In short, old McStrawman has won. Or so he thinks. The last Warner standing, Wacko, decides he needs backup, so he calls in Australia, and they send in their platoon of dingoes. Oh, it's the Australian Dingo Division. Yeah, they specialize in bunny-related threats. Yep, and with an army of dingoes, there's only one possible solution to this outcome. A bunny buyback. What? Boo! Yep, apparently their solution to getting rid of all the bunnies is for the bunch of dingoes to buy back the bunnies, probably to save and eat them for later. And they decide to sell old McStrawman in that bunch as well, so they never have to see him again. And then they reveal that the entire episode was an allegory for gun control. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, apparently that was the whole point of the episode. Advocating for gun control and how it's the solution to gun-related violence. Okay. Warners, you crossed the line. Gent, have a seat. I'm gonna talk about this. So, Warner Bros., and no, I'm not referring to the Animaniacs, you want to talk about gun control in your cartoons. There's a few things I'm willing to forgive in cartoons. I'm willing to forgive when the plot doesn't make sense. I'm willing to forgive when cartoon characters act poorly. I'm even willing to forgive badly written characters, badly written stories, and I'm willing to forgive a lot. But two things I will not forgive is one, characters acting out of character for the sake of the plot, and two, you trying to make thinly veiled allegories and getting your facts wrong. At best, you are blissfully ignorant without doing your research. At worst, you're straight up lying to your audience. First of all, can we stop using Australia as an example for why gun control quote-unquote works? Gun-related crimes and murders was already on the massive decline from before the first gun control law was introduced in 1996. We found this out through a quick Google search. So in conclusion, there is no link between the gun-related crimes and the gun restriction laws. But even if there was such a link, good for them, but that doesn't mean it will translate the same in the U.S. The U.S. has different cultures, different ideas, different beliefs, different freedoms. They're not the same thing. But don't take it from us. Take it from this guy.
These are your rights. They are not my rights. I am a defender of your rights. Now, as it relates to the Second Amendment, it has special meaning to me. And here's why. As you know, when this country was formed, this Constitution didn't apply to the slaves. But guess what? This Constitution allowed the brilliance of the Founding Fathers. This Constitution allowed for us to eventually get it right. That freedom was worth fighting for. Slaves plus guns equaled freedom.
And sadly enough, this episode would have worked if they didn't turn it into a thinly veiled allegory for gun control, because it would have been a pretty solid episode. A guy taking over all of Warner Studios with his overpopulation of bunnies? Yeah, that idea is a funny concept, and on its own, it's a good episode. But the fact that they keep throwing in this gun control related nonsense brings the episode quality down. And the next time someone tries to bring up gun control working, just ask them one thing. How is that country's knife crime statistics? And then get back to you.
So, I don't want to be the guy to point this out, but where is the crew? Or the captain? Or anyone?
Well, as long as we got the run of the ship, we might as well look for things that may be valuable. Jackpot! I think picking through someone else's chest is a big no-no, Peanuts. Oh, what's the harm in having a little look? And what do we got here? Looks like a bunch of manuscripts. A few stories. Fan fictions. Not a lot we can do with these. From the looks of these, they aren't even really well written. And why would anybody want to keep these in an unlocked chest? I would bury these as far as possible from me. Unless the person wasn't actually gone?
What are you doing in me private quarters?
The second part of this episode is Pinky and the Brain. I'm beginning to notice a pattern. Any rate, Pinky and the Brain is working on a interesting new project to take over the world. What could it possibly be? Well, it's simple. He's working on developing a new partner. Meet Brain. Yeah, I think that's a joke on the writer's part, but anyway. Brain can do it all. He's smart. He's intelligent. He actually gets Brain. And Brain considers Brain not to be just a new sidekick, not even to be his equal. He considers him to be his son. And it is kind of cute seeing Brain so emotional at someone other than himself and the world. In fact, they even have a little song dedicated to Brain just hanging out and bonding with his machine as they're stealing other pieces to a much larger puzzle for Brain's next world domination plan. But while this is going on, Pinky is feeling left out and neglected as Brain has all but replaced him with this robot version of himself. And in truth, he's right. Brain did replace Pinky. But what do you expect? Brain isn't the sentimental type. Any rate, so now it's on to the world domination plan. So, the plan is simple. Combining all the things that they stole, they're going to reverse the moon's orbit, giving them full control over the atmosphere, and thus control the world's tides. Interesting. But that's not the endgame. Nope. Then things go sour, as the plan now indicates that they're going to manipulate the constellations, causing everybody around the world to lose the constellation star map that they are. Oh no! How will single 14-year-old white women know who to date anymore? They definitely can't blame their actions on being a Scorpio, if they're no longer a Scorpio. Unfortunately, though, Brain sees lots and lots of unneeded errors in the plan. And Brain get into a bit of a fight. And Brain tells Brain to come up with his own plan if he's so smart. And he does. He comes up with an expert plan, using the Earth's natural resources and developments in order to conquer the world. And Brain is forced to admit that he's no longer the smartest person in the room. He is the Pinky now. And Brain views his new intellectual prowess as something of a godsend. But his old masters are in the way of his development. He knows he'll never succeed, so he goes through the old classic robot cliche of turning on his masters. Fusing himself with all the electronics in the room, he turns himself into a super mouse robot, which makes him a very interesting looking action figure, I won't lie. I would buy that. So, with their last breaths, they plead for their lives, but he is all out of mercy. But then, Pinky does the equivalent of forcing him to divide by 0, causing a malfunctioning short circuit and blowing him to pieces, and thus saving the world and their lives. Brain is forced to lament, but not actually apologize to Pinky for how he treated him. But I don't think Pinky minds or cares, he's just glad to have his friend back. And so, on to their next plan to take over the world.
What do you think you'd be doing crossing into my private chest? Who gave you permission to get in here? Who gave you permission to read my stuff? Did you like what you read? Answer me! Ghost! Alright, Poltergeist, stick him up!
Ah, you see, right here's the problem. You're rushing things a little bit too fast. Relationships like this have to take some time and build up.
But the show itself does a lot of the groundwork for that.
It doesn't really matter if the show does the groundwork, you also gotta put in the effort in order for people to like it better.
What the fricker's going on around here?
Oh, Commando, this is Deadbeard. He's our captain and the guy who's gonna be showing us from fandom to fandom.
Wait a minute. Rhino, you rented us a ghost ship? He was highly recommended in the bargain areas.
Who cares? We finally got a ship and a captain who can pilot it, and now we can finally go set off on our dreams of stardom!
So where to first, Master Gent?
Meep.
You do know where you want to go first, right?
The end of the episode is the Warners doing a spoof of new apps in development and commenting on the short attention span of people nowadays, saying only 3-second long videos on their new platform, and then that platform gets bought out by somebody else. It's pretty funny. It's nice commentary on the attention span of people nowadays, and it's genuinely wholesome. But I'm sorry, I still have the taste in my mouth from the first episode prior to this. And that was Animaniacs 2020 episode 4. I hate to say this, but this might actually be the worst episode of Animaniacs 2020 so far. When the last episode we had the best, this one is probably the worst, at least on the Warner's half. It had all the makings of the best episode this season, but because it tried to shoehorn in a gun control allegory, and straight up getting the facts wrong, or miscuing them, it forces the episode to be not as entertaining as it could be. And it feels more like a lecture from the government saying, guns are bad, okay? That's all I got from this episode, and it had no right to be that way. This is the Animaniacs. They're better than this. On top of that, this is the episode where we got anime Animaniacs. Them actually fighting, and that was a really entertaining fight. It had no right for me to not love it unconditionally, but unfortunately, it's held back because they keep shoehorning in that fucking allegory. This should have been the episode where I was animate like I've never animated before. This should have been the episode where I reveal the Nappa Gent fusion that I've been working on. This is the episode that should have been so over-the-top entertaining in fight scenes that it puts my wars that I've done in the past to shame. Instead, I had to do research on the actual facts on gun control. Yeah, because that's what I want to do when I'm working on this every Saturday. As far as Pinky and the Brain goes, it's a pretty standard episode. I want to feel like I'm with an equal colleague, but then that equal colleague turns out to be better than me, and now I have to go back to my old guy. It's a pretty standard setup, it's a pretty standard story. And Admittedly, it had a cute ending with the Warners pretending to be CEOs of an app, but overall it was pretty standard stuff. But without question, the Warners half of the episode really did me in for this one. It's the worst one thus far. I sincerely hope that the next episode isn't as bad as this one, because if it is, I'm just gonna quit Animaniacs. I'm not joking. It was that bad for me. So, without further ado, we're the Cartoon Gentlemen, the organizers of Chaos's Vintage Kings. See you next time. Okay, everybody, the moment has finally arrived. I want to thank you all individually for your contributions to this effort. From the four corners of the Warner fandom, from up to down, left, right, forwards and backwards, we are finally aboard our ship of dreams! Let us go forward and continue to stardom!
But nobody's told us where we're going yet.